All right, guys, in today's video, we are talking about the PlayStation 5 and we are also talking about Ghost of Tsushima. When it comes to the PS5, I'm sure many of you are aware that Jeff Keighley recently gave his hands-on impressions of the DualSense controller, but there was also an interview he conducted with Eric Lempel of Sony, and there was, in my opinion, two really important things that were kind of revealed during this interview in a really subtle way that I'm not sure if everybody caught on to it, but I wanted to be sure to talk about it in a separate video so you guys are aware. It has to do with pre-orders as well as the color scheme of the PlayStation 5. And we're also talking about Ghost of Tsushima's reviews and what Sucker Punch has to say about them and how, according to them, the criticism will make them better, which is obviously good to hear. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So if you could do me a favor before we go any further, make sure you hit the like button to help the video out and show your support. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future content. Hit the bell notification icon so you're notified when a new video goes live. And finally, tomorrow, Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing the next episode of Press X Podcast live here on the channel. So I hope to see you there. It's going to be a good time, as it usually is. So starting here with the PlayStation 5 and Sony talking about pre-orders, in a conversation with Jeff Keighley, PlayStation's worldwide head of marketing, Eric Lempel commented on the recent panic over PlayStation 5 pre-orders. For those of you who don't know, word somehow got out that Sony was opening pre-orders for its next-gen console, mostly through Amazon, which resulted in many an eager gamer heading to their local shops in the hopes of securing a system. However, Sony hadn't announced anything. Rumors of pre-orders had started online and the situation had simply spiraled out of control. We don't know what happened there and had nothing to do with it, says Lempel. I got a message from someone saying people are lining up at stores and they had no idea why. I think it's safe to say that we'll let you know when pre-orders will happen. Lempel continues, it's not going to happen in a minute's notice. So yeah, don't worry too much about PS5 pre-orders dropping out of nowhere. Sounds as though Sony has a plan in place, so it's just a case of waiting to hear more. Now, obviously, I wanted to cover this for multiple reasons. You guys know I did cover this rumor, and it seems like this rumor, the one that's being referred to here, didn't really start to pick up traction until it got actually closer to July 13th. I covered it about a week before, though, and I just told you guys, like, look, it's a 50-50 thing. Maybe just pay attention to it. However, I wasn't expecting to hear that people were apparently lining up at stores or something, and I guess it just goes to show just how highly anticipated this console really is and how there's a lot of people who want to make sure that they have their hands on one when it launches. But the really important thing you have to pay attention to here, based off of Eric Lempel's comments, is he's making it, in my opinion, very clear that they are not going to just drop the pre-orders out of nowhere. You're going to be able to anticipate it. They're probably going to honestly have an announcement of an announcement, and that's the smartest way for them to do it, because people want to feel like they know when the pre-orders are going to go live, so that, you know, they can know when to line up if they want to line up, or they can know when to go online and be ready to get your pre-order. And I mean, I know that's what I would want. I know that's what most of you would want, and I think Sony's aware of that. So the idea that Sony was just going to drop something randomly, to me, it kind of did sound 50-50. I mean, the source of this rumor was correct about one thing in the past, but turns out they were not correct about this one. So it is what it is, and we're just going to have to wait to hear from Sony. But either way, that is good news, or that should be perceived as good news, where they're not going to just drop it, as they put it here, in a minute's notice. So that's really good to know. But he also talked a little bit about the color scheme of the PlayStation 5, and I find this really interesting because it really does seem like Sony is planning to do something with the PlayStation 5 color scheme. I think it was already kind of off-putting to a lot of people, or surprising, I should say, maybe not off-putting, but surprising, that Sony opted to go with a two-tone color scheme. It says here, ever since the PlayStation 5 was unveiled, fans have been creating some eye-catching mock-ups of the console and its peripherals in various colors. Those who weren't too excited about the black and white color scheme might be pleased to note that Sony has been paying attention to these conversations, and it does have plans to introduce more colors, but we just don't know when. We'll talk about that at some point. This is what PlayStation Worldwide's marketing boss, Eric Lempel, laughingly told Jeff Keighley. Right now, as you mentioned, it's a hard enough job to get the unit that we've showed out, but we'll talk about it at some point. Now, I know this may not seem like a big deal, but you guys have to understand, like, this conversation between Jeff Keighley and Eric Lempel, you know, there was probably Sony's marketing team all over the place here on this one, and I I was interested in what Jeff was asking, because the way Jeff was asking these questions, it almost came off as if they weren't scripted. But we have to understand that these questions that Jeff Keighley was asking Eric Lempel, he certainly had to run them by the marketing team. You know, you'll notice he didn't ask anything about the price. He didn't talk about frame rates at all or anything like that, which are two things that are being talked about very heavily. But Sony was like, look, we're not going to talk about that right now. However, he was allowed to ask about the color scheme of the PlayStation 5, and Eric Lempel's answer was not no. It wasn't simply no, this is the color we went with, and it's going to be the two-tone white and black. Instead, he says we're going to talk more about that later. And this is really, really interesting to me, because this is a clear indicator that they're doing something with the two-tone color scheme here, and I think that maybe this is a reason why they went with the two-tone. And I'm really, really, really interested to see what this is going to actually end up being. Does this mean that maybe you're going to be able to actually take the plates off of the side of the PS5 because they're going to offer different colors? Does this mean maybe possibly you could even order a PlayStation 5 in the future and kind of customize it with whatever color scheme you want? That would be pretty sick. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, but this is a very clear indicator that if you're somebody who is not really happy with the two-tone white and black here, you're going to be able to look forward to something else later on. And it sounds to me that they're going to talk about it before the console actually launches. So yeah, we're going to talk more about this in depth tomorrow during the podcast, simply because I want to see what you guys have to say. And I'm probably going to have more to talk about when it comes to this, because it's a pretty significant thing in my opinion. But we're going to move right along here before this video gets too long. We're talking about Ghost of Tsushima. Sucker Punch's action-adventure Ghost of Tsushima has finally settled for a respectable 83 out of 100 Metacritic score after 94 critic reviews, which is quite a feat for a new IP. It's only the developer's second game on the PS4, and one that it developed after a lengthy period of focusing on its infamous franchise. Considering this, Sucker Punch seems satisfied with the game's reception and has said that it's open to criticism because the feedback from critics and players will only help the studio to do better in the future. Speaking to Games Radar, creative and art director Jason Connell said that the team was also enjoying reading positive feedback. I mean, for me, I look at what people are saying about the game and what people are enjoying about the game. I see there's a couple of threads on Twitter that are just like, here's all my photos from photo mode. For a new IP that's developed the way we develop games, and also during a pandemic and all of these other things, I'm really proud of what people seem like they are loving about the game, because those are the things that I love about the game. So it feels personal and it feels gratifying, and I'm sure our team feels the same way too. I know our team was really rejoiced with it. There are criticisms about our game. I love criticism. It's just going to make us better, you know? We're going to look at it, tear it apart, and digest it. We've been talking about it. I think it's a healthy part of it. We put it out there and the world can judge it, but we are proudly owning it. We think Ghost of Tsushima is the best game we've ever made. See, I really love this comment here, or what he's saying, because that's what I like to hear. You know, I'm sure that they are really happy with the way this game turned out. I think it's going to sell really well. Could potentially end up being the best-selling new IP this generation when it comes to a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I think currently the record is held by Horizon Zero Dawn. But it's nice to hear that they are paying attention to the criticisms, because, you know, it getting an 83 out of 100, there are some criticisms, which I made a dedicated video going over this, and I'm not so sure that I agree with all of those criticisms. Like, I feel like some of them are maybe a little bit unfair. However, I can understand when playing this game that there's not, like, there are some aspects of this game that I could see some people might not be too fond of, and it's always good to hear feedback. Like, no game is perfect, and I can even say this as a content creator myself, feedback is critical, and so it's really nice to hear that they're just kind of taking it in stride. They seem really proud of their game. As he says here, they think it's the best game they've ever made. I'm in total agreement with that. I think that there's a lot of heart and soul put into this game, and you can tell there's a lot of detail. The game looks stunning, it plays great, there's just a lot to love here. But they're also letting us know that, look, just because they think it's the best game they've ever made does not mean they're going to ignore criticism. They're going to take in all the feedback and try to apply that to become even better with their next title. And frankly, that's what I love to hear, because that's what it's all about. It's all about getting better and improving. So I just wanted to take some time here to let you guys know what Sucker Punch is saying about the review scores of their game and what they think of their game. And so yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Again, leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.